Okay, let's talk about that mystery that's probably buzzing in your pocket right now. Yeah, I'm talking about that unread text, the one from someone you actually genuinely like. You know you should answer. You even want to, but for some reason, you just can't. So let's get into it and figure out why. Oh, you know this feeling. We all do. The screen lights up, you see their name pop up, and maybe you even have the perfect reply ready in your head, but your thumbs just freeze over the keyboard. It's this weird modern-day paralysis, right? And I promise you, it has absolutely nothing to do with you being a bad friend. And it's such a vicious little cycle, isn't it? First comes the ping, then the paralysis, and right on cue, here comes the guilt, which just makes it a million times harder to reply later. So let's actually break this thing down. Right, so what is really going on here? I mean, maybe your friends have called you flaky or you've called yourself that, but guess what? Psychology has a way better and frankly, a much kinder explanation. This isn't some deep character flaw, it's a very, very human thing. There's actually a name for this. It's called demand avoidance. And what it means is that for your already overstimulated nervous system, that little text notification doesn't feel like a friendly hello. No, it feels like a demand. It lands like another task on your to-do list, and your brain just goes, whoa, that's too much right now, and triggers a shutdown.
And this is a great way to think about it. Just imagine your brain is a smartphone. You start the day with a full charge, right? But every single notification, every email, every little request, it drains a little bit of that battery. And sometimes that one simple text is the thing that finally pushes you into low power mode. But wait, it gets even more complicated, because here's the thing. Often, the reason we don't reply isn't because we don't care. It's actually the complete opposite. And this is the paradox at the heart of it all. You're not actually avoiding the person. You're avoiding the fear of saying the wrong thing, or being misunderstood, or just not sending the perfect, witty, thoughtful response you feel like they deserve.
Okay, this comparison just nails it. For some people, sending a text is, a 9-second task? Done. But for an overthinker, oh no, it is a full-blown PR campaign. You're not just replying, you're crafting a message, managing a brand, worrying about tone. It's completely and utterly exhausting. So why? Why does one little text feel like climbing a mountain? Well, the answer isn't about your motivation. It's about how your brain is literally built. It comes down to some very real and surprisingly small limits that we all have. It all has to do with something called your working memory. You can think of it like the RAM on your computer. It's that temporary workspace your brain uses to juggle whatever you're thinking about right now. And it's what you need to craft that text message. But here's the kicker. That workspace is incredibly limited. Yeah, a tiny workbench is the perfect way to picture it. It is not some giant, sprawling warehouse where you can store everything. Nope. It's a small, cluttered workbench where you can only have a few projects out at once. And let's be real, by 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, what does that workbench look like? It's already piled high with work deadlines, family stress, thinking about what's for dinner, all that decision fatigue. So when that new text comes in, it's not a small little note. It's like someone's trying to drop a whole new, complicated project right onto a workbench that is already overflowing with stuff. Of course, your brain's reaction is just, nope, no more room. But the story doesn't end with just a cluttered workbench, does it? The avoidance itself starts to create this painful emotional echo. When we don't reply, the problem doesn't just vanish, it actually mutates. I love this line. The guilt gets preserved in amber. It's so true. That unresolved task doesn't just get filed away. Instead, your brain perfectly preserves all the guilt and anxiety around it. So you end up carrying all the emotional baggage of the conversation without ever actually having the conversation. And here's the really cruel part. After a day or 2 or 3, the shame just compounds. You start telling yourself a story that this one late text means you're a bad friend, or you're lazy, or you don't care. Your brain becomes its own worst critic. And that courtroom in your head, it just never, ever closes. You know, it's so important to understand this isn't just you being difficult. It's often a biological defense mechanism. We all know about fight or flight, right? Well, there's a third one, freeze. And when that feeling of overwhelm and shame gets to be too much, your nervous system just hits the pause button. That silence, it's not carelessness. It is literally your body begging for a break. Okay, I want to pause here for a second because this is probably the most important shift we're going to make. We have to reframe what this silence actually means. It's time to stop the self-criticism and start practicing some self-awareness. So let's just ask it. The
the question that's probably haunting you. Are you a bad friend? It's the thing your brain whispers to you after you've left someone on red for a little too long, isn't it? Well, let me answer that for you. No, you are not. The problem here isn't a lack of communication skills, and it's definitely not about
How much you love your friends? You have a boundary problem. We all do. We're just human beings trying to survive in a digital world that demands we are available to everyone all the time. And I just love this analogy. Seeking a little silence? It's not you being rude or antisocial. It's you building a little cognitive blanket fort for yourself. You're creating a safe, quiet space for your mind in what can feel like an aggressively loud and unpredictable world. And that's not just okay, it's necessary. So what do we actually do about all this? What happens the next time that screen lights up? Well, the goal isn't to become some kind of super fast, hyper-efficient texting robot. The goal is to just be a more compassionate human, especially to yourself. Okay, so here's the new game plan. Step 1, stop holding yourself to the standard of a machine. You are not an app. You are a person, and you are allowed to have a low battery. Step 2, let the messy, unedited version of you exist. A quick, hey, totally swamped, but thinking of you is 1,000 times better than that perfect, witty paragraph that you never actually sent. And finally, number 3, trust your people. Trust that genuine connection doesn't need a perfect reply. Really, let that one sink in. It's time to drop the PR campaign, because if someone truly loves you, they don't need some perfectly polished, curated response. They just want you. The real, sometimes overwhelmed, but completely wonderful you. So I'll leave you with this to think about. The next time you feel that freeze, ask yourself, what's really going on? Is it that your mental workbench is just too full to take on one more thing? Or is it the sheer exhaustion from playing emotional chess with every single reply? Drop it in the comments. And if this deep dive finally made your brain make sense, hit subscribe and click the video on screen right now to understand why your brain freezes during arguments.